Hi everyone. So being a health coach, I also like to talk and have a chat with health entrepreneurs. And today we have someone very interesting. I'm sitting in a cafe called the Happy Soul. It's in Goa, and she has a sustainable, eco-friendly, natural store called Happy Soul as well. So let me introduce Pooja to you. Hi Pooja, thank you so much for letting us interview you. It's really, I'm so glad that we are doing it. And I would like you to tell our audience, how did you start this health entrepreneur, or how did you become from an actress to a health entrepreneur?
Okay, so for that, you would have to actually go back into my childhood. So as I said, you have to go back into my childhood. My grandmother, Pooja Bedi, has 3 books written on her incredible life, which basically was an English woman who met my grandfather in Oxford, and they fell in love and came back to India. And she fought the freedom struggle in India along with my grandfather, who was Indian. She was British, against the British. She worked alongside Mahatma Gandhi, all the details are mentioned in her book. And then she joined the entire Buddhist movement. And she took care of the Tibetan refugees. She was under His Holiness the 16th Karmapa. And she trained up the monks in English and sent them out towards Scotland. And the largest, I think, spread of Buddhism to the Western world, especially Scotland, etc., has been thanks to my grandmother's influences on the Buddhist community. And she's very regarded and very well respected and loved amongst them. And then, of course, my mother, who was very much into spirituality and mysticism, and I grew up with Osho and J. Krishnamurti and Erica Jong and Freud and Jung, and so all these thoughts and ideas were being floated, around us in conversations as they sat together in these large adult groups, and we as kids used to sit and listen to it. But we imbibe a lot. And then, of course, my mother was very religion and into through a dance. She was very much into that space. I hear this thoughts of mythology and gods and goddesses and energy and power and shakti, and how every goddess, for example, represented different facets. So if you pray to Saraswati, you're actually praying to wisdom, and you pray to goddess Lakshmi, it was her wealth, and Ganpati Ji for the obstacles being removed and for progress. And it's very interesting to hear about the representation of different energies. And in around 2000, and my grandfather, most importantly, my grandfather was a healer. So he basically has an institute up in Italy currently. He's no more, but the institute continues to flourish, which is devoted to his healing practices. And he healed thousands of people of every possible forms of illness, energy healing. And I used to find it very fascinating back then, but I used to kind of be very skeptical and a bit cynical as well, with this sense of, what are these woo sciences? Where's the logic? Where's the proof that all this is for real? And all of us have that, right? Like, all of us have the sense of, is it for real? Is it a placebo effect? Is it how much of it is actually true? And you hear about manifestation, or you hear about as you go, you hear so many different things, and you're always a bit of skepticism. And so my whole journey from 2003 onwards, which has now been almost 20 years, has basically been with trying to amalgamate quantum physics and Newtonian physics. And it's kind of been this whole journey where I've done all these energetic sciences, so be it level 1, 2, and 3 of Usui Reiki, level 1, 2, and 3 of Karuna Reiki, magnified healing, shamanism, soul temple, heal your life. I've got certifications in some, diplomas in the other. I've done NLP, I've done neuro-linguistic programming, certified in that. I've done spiritual hypnosis, clinical hypnosis, regression, age regression, past life regression, trained to do it now for everybody. I've really been fascinated by the sciences, and simultaneously I'm sitting trying to make logic of it. Like, if you talk about manifestation, for example, how does it actually happen? When you talk about energy, what is this chi and prana that people are talking about? So when you marry what they say science with alternative sciences, it becomes very tangible for people to understand and easier for people to accept. So say, for example, if I tell you that you have 37 trillion cells in your body, and each cell carries a charge, which is known. Like when you open down to your proton and you open it, there's nothing but a pulsating energy form in there, right? So if you are nothing but energy and you're vibrating with technically 70 trillion volts of electricity in your body, and untapped chi and prana is so powerful inside us, and how are we accessing expressing it or allow it to be latent. And those abilities exist within us to have incredible energy, that incredible energy source to connect with other energies around you. For example, what is an allergy? An allergy is when your energy and the energy of the food are in combat, in conflict. So the moment you touch it, or you smell it, or you eat it, right? You immediately have a reaction to it. Right? That's an allergy. And there are NAET doctors, for example, in 24 hours you can be completely cured of an allergy. And yet, a medical science will put you onto pills and all kinds of prescriptions, etc., to treat your allergies. Whereas in an alternative science world, you could actually cure your allergy within 24 hours. So, essentially, the difference is that I feel that pharma keeps you pharma dependent, whereas alternative sciences are more preventive and long term because they deal with something at the root. So, for example, there's a role for pharma in all of this. So, say for example, if you have a heart attack, you wouldn't just say, "Oh, let me go back to my alternative remedies." You'll go to the hospital and you'll go get your stent put in, and you'll do all of that, right? But at the end of the day, when you're back, you'll make sure it doesn't recur through alternative sciences. So all the methods that you would use, be it stress relief methods, or be it even understand the root cause of why you got a heart attack. So you go down to Louise Hay and you then understand what caused a heart attack in the first place. And then you sort of unravel that and then deal with the emotional issues that caused it on a fundamental level, because if it could affect you once, it can affect you again.
Exactly.
So, these things for me are very fascinating and very interesting for me to explore, because at the end of the day, I want to see a society that's well and healthy around me. I want to see a planet that is filled with happy people and positive people. And I look around and I see so much of sadness, pain, misery, suffering, jealousy, insecurity, pain, mental illness. And I look around and I'm thinking to myself, it's actually so simple to be happy. You just have to have the keenness, the awareness, and the ability, and more importantly, the information accessible to use. So many people want to be happy.
Right.
They just don't know how. People want to be emotionally well, mentally well, financially well, sexually well, socially well, emotionally well. They want to be well. They don't know how. So through Happy Soul, what I endeavor to do is to bring them holistic wellness. So whether it is products that you're using on your skin, whether it's what you're ingesting, what you're thinking, how you're feeling, what you're wearing, all these things are equally important, as well as not harming the environment around you. So all these things are very, very important to see the much larger picture. So I started Happy Soul basically with the intention of making the world a happier place. And because if I can complain and say, "Oh, people are like this, the world is like this, and society is like this, and damn the politics, and damn all of this," and you can get into that space, or you can turn around and say, "I'm going to change it." So I'm a solutions person, so I like to find solutions. So hence Happy Soul.
What a sheer burst of energy in herself, and what a journey. And it takes a lot of guts and to start something like this, right?
It takes passion. It takes a lot of passion, a lot of common sense. I'm not a restaurateur, for example, but at the same time, I've created a highly successful cafe which people now want to franchise. It's been 4 months since my opening officially, and I have over 36 franchises. And for me, that is such a huge, I guess, emotional boost as well, because I know that people are resonating with wellness. The youth today, they're obsessed with wellness, maybe overly so. They're watching their Fitbit watches, monitoring how many steps they're taking. They're looking at every grain, every dana, every whatever, and they're conscious about every calorie that they're putting into their body. And that's not correct, actually, because technically something that is low calorie may not be nutritious for you, whereas something that is maybe slightly high in calories can be so much more nutritional benefit that in the long run, guys, think of your own age. It's not just about being thin at the moment. Your body needs nutrition so that it's fully functional and healthy. If you're avoiding your oils and your good fats today, it's something that seems to depleting your body for the future, right? You have issues with like your skin and your hair and your joints and your bones and all sorts of things if you don't have an adequate fat intake. And also in terms of fertility, also in terms of your cycle and your menstruation, all these things require certain levels of nourishment in your body. Right? So a lot of people have this concept that thin is fit, which is not true. You can be thin and you can be fit, and you can be a little plump and you can also be fit, and you can be very plump and you can also be fit, right? And healthy, let's just put it that way. Whereas you could be thin and unhealthy, and also fat and unhealthy. So the important thing is to look at your health quotient in all of this. And again, most importantly, your holistic health quotient, because if you're mentally unwell, then it makes a difference as to how you're physically doing, because that's all a play against the other. So again, mental wellness, emotional wellness, wellness, financial wellness, social wellness, so many forms of wellness are all integral to our one human body and our entire journey of life, right? And we live once. We have an incident called birth and another incident called death. And in between these two, we have this really cute journey of life, right? And all you have to do, as for my mother's book, is time pass, right? And all we do is mess up the whole process. We're being so caught up in ऐसा करना है, वैसा करना है, ये मत करो, वो मत करो, भगवान ये बोलेगा, God will say this, this. And we get so caught up in these routines. We forget to enjoy life. We get to appreciate good food. We forget to appreciate the environment. We get to appreciate, we're just so busy trying to get somewhere at any cost, at the cost of ourselves, the cost of our health, the cost of our mental health, the cost of the planet, the cost of our friends, the cost of our family, the cost of our pets, and that's so sad. That's so sad, because this is the journey of life, and this is what's important, and how many memories you made along the way. So,
it's
what fun you had
about
along
the
the way.
destination. It's about enjoying the whole journey, like live each moment when it comes, and just be there, right? Like just be present.
Yeah.
So, what's been the most challenging thing of setting up Happy Soul? What is one thing which you overcame? You thought that
Well, we started just before the lockdown, and I always say, I see opportunity everywhere. So for me, and for me, I said, okay, lockdown is there, but you know what? I'm in the right field. I'm in health and wellness, and there's no better time to grow a concept of health and wellness than in COVID times. And actively started my retail model, now the cafe model, now getting spas, wellness centers, product lines, we go to wellness awards and wellness festivals. And basically, Happy Soul will be your go-to brand for wellness very soon. And we intend to have practitioners, they have a website, e-commerce, all sorts of things. It's actually being resellers e-commerce portal as well. So it's going to be really big for Happy Soul and the world of wellness in many ways. So for me, I think my biggest challenge was myself, because at the end of the day, I like to do so many different things in life, and now everything is so many different things of Happy Soul that I do feel somewhere along the way I've compromised certain other parts of my life that I would have liked to devote more time to. I know I'll have time for it later, and I will get back to that. And this is a very important phase for me right now, which requires my full focus to be on growing this venture a certain way. I am enjoying myself. I am smelling the roses along the way. I certainly am doing that because I'm even wearing roses today, because I think it's really important to enjoy the journey. But I had to compromise, I would say, certain other parts and aspects of my life, like certain kinds of travel, that I don't have the time for that. Taking a month off and going, on a great holiday and exploring different mountain sites. I can't do that at this point of time. I have responsibilities between my family and running a cafe and putting up 36 more cafes.
I think that's a great act of service. I think India needs it more people need it. As I said, the new generation, so many people have lost their mental health, and it's just that COVID has made them stop and realize what is the importance of health, and not only just physical health and mental health.
I think so, because I think, again, as you talked about challenges, one of the major challenges has actually been mental health and wellness, because everywhere I go, I see people who are just not interested suddenly in life. They've had all this time at home, they don't want to work, they don't have the energy, they suddenly lost the ability to function the way they functioned before. I don't know what has actually happened to a lot of people out there who've lost their vitality, they've lost their quickness, they've lost their spirit, they've lost their enthusiasm, they've lost their inner joy. They don't have that anymore. So many people I come across who are dead, but kind of dead somewhere down the line.
They're just living.
And they're also very confused about what happened to them, and the shock. I mean, lockdown was a huge shock to a lot of people. It disrupted their lives, their dreams, their vision, their flow, their process. People lost years of their youth, so to speak, especially for the teenagers who were so full of, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And they're so gung-ho at a certain age about life and where you're going. It's a huge setback at that age. Over tiny children who never experienced friends and playgroups, 2 years of their life they didn't have that, and got to what the repercussions that will be once they grow up. Because that can only be seen in years to come. So there has been a lot of dysfunctionality created as a result of the lockdown. And again, we will see over the years the repercussions of that, playing out amongst the younger generations. Even in terms of academics, in terms of all of that. Because right now, so far, kids have been very, very driven and focused in a certain way to perform, to excel in studies. And 2 years of that has been chopped out of their lives. And then you're responding to life differently. A lot of people are suddenly questioning what they were doing and why they're doing what they're doing, and why they got up in corporate class, for example, and why they would like to escape that system, why they would like to escape that whole process and escape that life. And there's a lot of people who came to Goa, for example, in the lockdown, were just so happy to be here in the lockdown, and they suddenly realized that this is life.
Yeah.
And I just want to be happy. And all I'm doing is getting caught up in a little room filled with computers and things, and all I'm doing all day is doing that. And actually, this is what I would like my life to be, and I don't mind downsizing.
Exactly.
And a lot of people have said, what was the pursuit of, the other big BMW car, which I never see, more than a night out or to office and back, and or to a shopping spree and back. And suddenly people have sort of sat back and said, hang on, I have a huge home, and if I sell this home and I go to a smaller place and set up a little enterprise of some sort, rather than working for somebody 9 to 6, slaving away for somebody else, I mean, so open a cute little enterprise with get a cute little small home for myself, proper villa. I have sunshine, I have the beach, I have nature, I have fun, I have activities, I have great restaurants around me. Why do I want that life when I can have this life?
Yeah.
And a lot of people have translated that into different ways into their life, the awakening, so to speak, about what life actually meant to them suddenly changed, Also, I think a lot of people saw on social media, they got so fixated initially, especially with social media, because that's all they had. They had nothing else to do.
Yeah.
And suddenly there's this whole social media fizzle, where suddenly they're just happy to be back to life and doing other things, and they don't want to see their social media anymore, because that whole craze of doing that also got oversatiated.
Right.
So they're off that space as well. So it's very interesting to see how different generations have reacted so differently to the lockdown.
Yeah.
I think it's played a very important role in all the different verticals of wellness, actually, so to speak. And for me, I'm just growing into wellness to really spread wellness, because I want to see a happier world. I want to see a more positive world. I want to see people heal. I want to see people prevent. I want to see, yes, absolutely. And I want people to be wholesome. I want their lives to be wholesome, and I can offer them that through happy soul.
Absolutely.
That's kind of.
That's wonderful. So what's the last message you would like to say, especially to the youth and the younger people? As you said, they are so influenced by, going calories, counting the calories, going slimmer. One message which you would ask just tell them to stop and ponder and think about.
Okay, so to me, the important thing is to remind you on a level of science, because that's logical and you can't dispute it, that you are 37 trillion cells pulsating with energy, right? You are nothing but pure energy, right? So when you know that you are pure energy, whatever you put into your body is energy, right? Whatever you're wearing is energy. Whatever you are thinking is energy. Your thoughts become your emotions. Your emotions take over your body. If you're stressed, your shoulders bunch up, right? And if you study Louis Hay, for example, and different body dynamics, you will understand how each and every thought process triggers an emotional response and lodges in a specific area of your body, right? So always be mindful of what you're eating, what you're thinking, what you're feeling. At the end of the day, I know it's a different world that the youth, for example, are living in, very different to the world I grew up in. There's a lack of access to a lot of things that we had as kids, which is the luxury of time and thought and daydreaming and the outdoors and nature and all of that. That was a very integral part of life. So, and that therefore took away a lot, because today, I mean, honestly, I feel that the younger generation is so much smarter because of the mobile phone, and thank God for that. The need for rote learning has gone because of Google. You don't need to sit and mug up everything, because you have Google now at your fingertips. So taking the pressure off that as well. So in many ways, technology has really enhanced our lives. But the question is, are you controlling technology, or is technology controlling you? And that is a very important message to be considered, because if you're in control of it, great. But if it is controlling you, then you really need to watch out, because you are then a slave to something that is not human and not normal, and you're not using it for your benefit, and you're not using it to generate a good energetic field within your own body. And if you in any way can become a more positive, healthier, vibrant person with whatever means are in front of you, go for it. Whatever it be, whatever it be. It could be technology, it could be nature. My only concern is, as a parent and also as an individual, is that somewhere down, being surrounded with so much of tech, we're losing the ability to be sensitive and to be human. We become so insular in our own ways, and we become so, let's talk on WhatsApp and not communicate person to person. We flirt on WhatsApp, we break up on WhatsApp, we find partners on Tinder. It's all become very almost cold and unemotional. It's like, if it works for me now, great. If it doesn't work, forget it. It's become a very tissue paper attitude, like don't like it, chuck it. There's no sense of connection, of a sense of perseverance, of if something's too tough, forget it, ditch it. There's no sense of overcoming things and finding your true inner strength. It's almost like I feel the generation has become almost pampered to a level where they're emotionally fragile. Because if something doesn't work for them, they immediately want to toss it. They don't actually challenge themselves, combat something, and get over something, or overcome something, or be better. It's about is it worth me? It's a very dismissive attitude, and I find that sad. I think there's great joy in human connection and human interactions, and it's not just sitting around in a room full of friends and everyone's on their phone. And you can do that in your private time, but when you're with people, enjoy people. How difficult is it for you to put your mobile phone down and ignore it for 3 hours? Just ignore it. It does not exist in your life.
So very few people get
right. And when you understand that it is so hard to put that phone away for 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, and if it's so difficult to do that, technology has you. You don't have technology. And that's the shame. And that's the sad part, because you think you own it, but it owns you. That's the sad part.
I think it's so important to do a digital detox once in a while, and at least just, as she's saying, at least 1 hour to begin with. Just keep your phones. If people just get up in the morning and the first thing they see is the mobile.
Right.
It's like really can create a lot of distress. So Pooja, that was great. I mean, you're such a lovely person, and so you're bursting with energy and life, the chi in her in this act. And I'm feeling empowered, and she's an inspiration. And I wish you all the success.
Thank you.
I know you're going to get it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I think the journey has just begun. And whenever you see Happy Soul, just reach out to Happy Soul in whatever way you can. If it's on social media, like, share, subscribe. If it's a cafe, walk in and have a meal. If it's a Happy Soul shop, come and buy something nice, good for you, good for the planet. If it's a wellness spa, come in and indulge yourself and cheer us on as we get into awards and festivals. So thank you for your love and your support, and I really look forward to growing the brand and changing whatever I can of fractured humanity or